And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Next Level Broadcasting Studios. I am Eric Huffman, along with Charles Strail to my right and Jared Stamen to my left. We've got a jam-packed show to you tonight, bringing you some special stuff tonight, so we can't wait to get things started. And once again, welcome to the Next Level Broadcasting Show. Welcome back. We're so glad you can join us tonight. Again, like I said, we've got a jam-packed, fun night ahead of you. 3 fun-filled segments, and we've got some other stuff that we'll talk about going on tonight. As we've got Jared here right now, but I'm going to send him on his way after we're done with this first segment to do a remote to one of our local schools, but we'll get into that later on. Right now, we'd like to get into our first segment of the night. So, tonight's big question: did Michigan get off easy from their NCAA violations? We'd like to break it down. And along with Jared and myself, we're going to take 2 sides of an argument tonight. I'm going to take the side of Michigan did not get enough punishment. I think they should have dropped the hammer more. Jared's going to take the side of the crime fits the punishment. Michigan got what they deserved, and we should just move on and drop it. So I guess I'll start. I'll start with they got off easy. So other programs got postseason bans, scholarship reductions, or had entire seasons wiped out. And I'm going to bring up, in my research today, I'll bring it up as I get into my teleprompter notes here on paper. I'm going to bring up the Ohio State scandal.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to you before we got going. From 2010 to 2011, the players traded memorabilia for tattoos. It was the tattoo scandal. The result of that was Jim Tressel was forced to resign. The team had to vacate all of their 2010 wins, and they had a postseason bowl ban in 2012. Now compare this to what Michigan's punishment was. I think Charles has the list of punishments ready to go up on the screen, and we can run them down for you. He's not the best color man in the business for nothing. So Sharon Moore, 1-game suspension in 2026 on top of the self-imposed suspension he'll get this year. Jim Harbaugh, 10-year show cause. And talking about a show cause hearing, which means that's on top of the 4-year show cause that he already has. And with the show cause meaning, if he wanted to come back, if the school wanted to hire him, they would have to go and show why they think that Jim Harbaugh should be able to coach their school. So that's why they've got this now 14 years of show cause on there. And U of M also fined up to $30 million. So I've taken my first shot at what I think I don't think they've gotten enough punishment from that, as opposed to the tattoo scandal of a little while ago. What do you think so far as your first response?
Well, Eric, I do think it's safe to say that the general consensus has been, Michigan has gotten off light. The tattoo scandal, about 10 years ago now is, a common one that happened more recently. And, we kind of mentioned Reggie Bush earlier as well. I do think there could have been room for more, but if you really do look at what Michigan did, this is kind of where I think the argument can be made, advanced scouting. Is that something that they, really took advantage of that no other team A has done or was not currently doing or not going to start doing? Because, these punishments aren't really scaring away a team from doing it. I know that's kind of maybe against my argument a little bit, but I think it's hard to say, especially for a big blue blood like Michigan, up to $30 million is not really going to change it. I think what really, is the hard part for Michigan is, the lack of coaching. You already went from, Jim Harbaugh down to Sharon Moore, who has been great. His game in last year to Ohio State in the horseshoe, beat Ohio State.
Yep.
We can say there could have been some advanced scouting there. You never know. I would like to say no, but
Yeah, some sunglasses during a Central game. Not that I saw anything.
Yeah, it is up for debate. But, not having Sharon Moore for some of those games, including next year, could really throw a wrench in some of their plans. Having a true freshman, potential superstar quarterback, not having a, strong staple leader throughout a whole season. We could see that throw a wrench in Michigan's plans.
One of our arguments when we were talking pre-show, I was trying to differentiate between the Gen X old school of right and wrong, get out the belt and the paddle and serve your punishment.
Right, yeah.
It's not the same in today's world.
No.
And I kind of brought it into when from me learning to coach basketball.
Yeah.
I learned from some coaches that coached in the 70s and 80s. You can't take their mentality and use that in most of today's world. You've got to find a way to take some of that philosophy and put today's spin on it.
Yeah.
Where I think there's more of trying to meet in the middle as opposed to having one at one end and one at the other for right and wrong.
Yeah. And I think, the NCAA likes to play both sides. At the end of the day, they're a business and they want money. And, a program like Michigan and, with a guy like Bryce Underwood and the fact, Michigan has beat Ohio State the last couple of years when they maybe shouldn't have, they're a moneymaker at the end of the day. And, you don't want to find your moneymakers. I think maybe they've learned in the past by finding USC and Ohio State.
Well, speaking of USC, I was just about to bring up the Reggie Bush thing, from 2005 to 2010, receiving improper benefits.
Oh, yeah.
Not only, he lost his Heisman, but now has it back.
Yeah.
But again, the result was 30 scholarships lost over 3 years, a 2-year postseason ban, and the 2004 BCS title vacated.
Oh, yeah.
So where are the Michigan vacations? They haven't lost any. They haven't lost any wins. They haven't lost any titles. But yet we're talking all the way back to 2005 to now 2025. Does today's punishment fit the crime?
Well, here's the thing that I was going to add to that, Eric and Jared, and now that I get an opportunity to jump in here as the resident Spartan here on the panel on tonight's broadcast, I'm glad everybody's tuning in here to the Next Level Broadcasting Show. I'm Charles Strela, filling in the seat left warm by Shane Smith as Shane's down at college. We got a couple more minutes left in this segment, but I just want to say this, and I'll leave you with this little trinket. Look at the tea leaves of when the Connor Stallions cheating scandal and advanced scouting really took place. And I'm going to leave you with this as we transition out of this segment. Connor Stallions was on the CMU sideline at a game versus Michigan State in East Lansing in 2023. And, this was 2022 CMU game. Jared, can I ask you a question? What happened in 2021 Michigan State versus Michigan? Both teams were ranked in the top 10. I believe Michigan had Aiden Hutchinson on that team, and 6 versus 8. Fox Big Noon kickoff. He had Gus and Joel in the box, and then all of a sudden, a little guy wearing number 9 went for 5 tubs. Kenneth Walker, and all of a sudden, now next year, Connor Stallions is on the sideline stealing signs against Michigan State, trying to give Michigan a competitive advantage after getting cracked in Spartan Stadium. So, you look at that and just say, look, Michigan was doing this from a derivative of losing. They were pushing the envelope because they couldn't get over the hump. So they returned to cheating. And after that, they got caught. And when Stallions left, they continued to win because of the momentum that they had built recruiting. But my argument resides from the fact that they had to resort to cheating in order to try and get over the hump so that they could get the recruiting juices flowing.
Yep. That's a nice insight, Charles. And so for my wrap up, the bottom line is, on one hand, Michigan avoided the kind of harsh penalties we've seen in the past, kind of what we were talking about, which makes it look a lot like they got off easy. But on the other hand, suspensions, reputable damage, and accountability measures show that they didn't completely skate free. I want to reach out to the listeners. What do you think? What's your opinion on all of this? Have your own in-house or in-work debate, or reach out to Next Level Broadcasting and give us your own opinions. We'd love to hear from you. So that'll wrap it up for this segment. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back with a little list that we saw that came up. Have a little fun with this one. We'll give you a little more insight once we come back from the break. You are watching the Next Level Broadcasting Show.
Hey, Dad, brought you some popcorn. You should relax. You worked so hard for us.
What happened?
It's a little fender bender, but Mom already filed a claim with our agent, and we can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense. Well played.
Ask Bingham Insurance Services in Charlevoix if auto owners make sense for you.
Now's the time to fly from your Northern Michigan hometown Cherry Capital Airport, TVC. TVC Airport will get you to your dream destination anywhere in the world. Visit tvcairport.com now.
I'm Ryan Beningo, but you might know me for my business, Professional Seamless Gutters, where we specialize in, you guessed it, everything gutters. New installation, replacements, cleaning, leaf guards, rain chains, and much more. But unlike many service providers, when you call Professional Seamless Gutters, you get me, Orion, not some bum intern or call center recording. So when you're contemplating any services regarding the gutters on your home or pole barn, think Professional Seamless Gutters.
Welcome back to the Next Level Broadcasting Show. I am Eric Huffman. I got Charles Strail still in the studio with me. As you can see, we sent Jared on his way. He's going to remote in a little bit later on tonight from East Jordan. I think they've got a scrimmage going on right now, but we'll check in with him in a little bit. Right now, we'd like to move on to our next segment. Yahoo Sports recently put out a list of their 5 dark horse picks in college football. Now, it could be a team that they thought maybe just outside the top 10 that could make it up into the playoffs. Or it could be someone towards the bottom of the top 25, or what better yet, be somebody outside the top 25. So Charles and I are gonna get into this discussion here a little bit and get in and reveal these top 5 schools and have a little bit of insight about each school. Charles, are we all set with that?
All right, Eric, as I join you there, we are getting things ready and queued up as we are getting ready for this segment. It should be a fun one because we talked about this last week. College football only 2 weeks away, actually 1 week away from today. That Ohio State-Texas game kind of kicks off the season.
A couple of really good games.
That is one heck of a game.
God, what's the other one? Clemson and top 10 matchup. Clemson and somebody else.
It'll be Clemson and
LSU. Yeah, that'll be a great one.
I mean, you're looking at those games, just kind of thinking like, man, what am I going to do for the opening weekend? And I think the answer that most people have is like,
see if Brian Kelly can win the big one.
Yeah, right. Just see if Brian Kelly can deliver. We'll see.
Or Cade Klubnik, or
whichever one of those teams wants to try and come through.
Or part of our argument may be, will Texas make it out of the first week?
Yeah, even a good point there as well. I mean, you've got a lot of these things that are all coming into fruition, all at the same time as we're, looking to what's going to happen this year in college football. As Eric and I join you here on the picture-on-picture, let's go ahead and roll these out, Eric, because we got them right here, the dark horse playoff contenders. And well, you want to go top 5? Yeah, let's just kind of tell me what you think here. Let's go right reveal number 1 on the list. So there's the preseason top 10. So these dark horse teams have to be outside of the preseason top 10 in order to qualify. So, Eric, what are you thinking?
I talked about them last week, and they just got to be there. I am a big fan. My dark horse number 1 is Illinois.
So let me tell you what, Illinois is there. Illinois will be number 1. And almost like you saw this list, but Illinois number 1 on the dark horse college football playoff teams.
Well, and just talking about my notes about Illinois, they're coming off a 10-3 season, obviously strong for the Big Ten. And they're underrated coming into this season at 200-1 odds. And so they carry minimal expectations, but yet coming off of last season, I can't see them making more of a climb in the next step up challenge.
Yeah, you got to look at it from the standpoint that Illinois looks like they're there. We're going to expedite this segment a little bit because we've got Tom and Jared joining us live as you see the other top 5 dark horse contenders according to Yahoo Sports. Could the U be back? That's a question we'll have to wait and find out. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and my personal favorite, the Utes of Utah, rounding out that top 5 dark horse college football contenders to maybe crash the CFP party.
Yeah, the hard part with Miami is they've been back for how many times now? At least a decade they've been back.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the top 5 college football contenders here on Next Level Broadcasting. We're going to go ahead, take a quick break. Once again, when we come back, we'll have a live look in at the Gaylord St. Mary football scrimmage and then the East Jordan versus Charlevoix scrimmage where Jared Stamen will be at. Tom Clementson reporting live from Gaylord St. Mary after these messages. Stay with us. You're watching the Next Level Broadcasting Show.
Hello, I'm Orion Beningo, but you might know me for my business, Professional Seamless Gutters, where we specialize in, you guessed it, everything gutters. New installation, replacements, cleaning, leaf guards, drain chains, and much more. But unlike many service providers, when you call Professional Seamless Gutters, you get me, Orion, not some bum intern or call center recording. So when you're contemplating any services regarding the gutters on your home or pole barn, think Professional Seamless Gutters.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Next Level Broadcasting Show. Once again, Eric Huffman in studio tonight, along with Charles Strail helping me out here. Right now, we're going to go and transition into, we'll be talking about preseason high school football every week so far. And we'd like to get a tidbit or a little sneak peek again into each of the 5 schools that we will now be carrying this year: Gaylord St. Mary's, Elk Rapids, Traverse City St. Francis, East Jordan, and Charlevoix. Right now, we'd like to have a remote in and get on with our first school, which will be Tom Clementson with Gaylord St. Mary's.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Hey guys, thanks for dialing me in. We've actually got a scrimmage going on right now. Anathema came down, Pickford's down, and Breckenridge came on up. And so 4 teams in 8-player football just getting out there. And, all of them have had a chance to get their offenses and defenses installed over the last couple of weeks. And now they're kind of doing some fine-tuning as they get ready for the season, ready to kick that off next week. And so for Gaylord St. Mary, obviously a young team, but still got a lot of leaders on there, and a couple of key leaders. One of the old people on the team, Charlie Cameron, a big force up front, and he's going to have to be a big force because he's got to keep his quarterback straight. And he's one of the other key leaders that we talked to. That's Nathan O'Connell, sophomore quarterback. And again, you're talking about sophomore, juniors leading this team. Very young, but they're very excited. I had a chance to talk to O'Connell a little bit earlier, just a little bit about the offseason and what he did to prepare going into this year and what the team's goals are.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks so much, Tom. We appreciate you checking in with us tonight. And Charles, being from the Gaylord area too, we've had a lot of fun covering Gaylord St. Mary's too, and it'll be interesting to see how their season progresses as we talk about pretty much every week about them almost coming from one end and the Lakes coming into the other, kind of meeting at head for the conference title every year. So Gaylord St. Mary's be another always a fun team to watch every season in, season out.
Yeah, it is one of those matchups between Inland Lakes and Gaylord St. Mary. Who is going to compete for that Ski Valley Conference Championship? And I mean, obviously, the Gaylord St. Mary crowd, the parishioners, they've invested heavily into their new renovated stadium. And Tom, if you might be able to speak on that a little bit, because you're now seeing the confines. This is the second year live at the new football facility at Gaylord St. Mary. And kind of touch on what you're seeing in the development and the contribution and the commitment that St. Mary has made to this program and how it's yielding through the grassroots movement with younger players coming up.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of excitement here at St. Mary High School with regards to, the field, family field, as it were. Again, as you pointed out, second year that they've been here. The press box is brand new, a great facility. In fact, they had volunteers out there earlier doing some stain work on the new railings and everything that they've got installed. So the field was the first thing, and now they've started to really build out some of those amenities out here. I can tell you, having been on the field earlier, walking out there when the JV was doing their scrimmage, it's really, really well done. They had crews out here late last night working on the lines, getting all the paintwork done. Everybody around here is excited for the season.
And they certainly have a reason to be excited for that season. I mean, you look at what Gaylord St. Mary has been able to accomplish the last 10 years, and they've really been able to keep the standard. And I know, Tom, you might be able to talk about that because you talked with head coach Kevin O'Connell, and we're going to tease it here, but we also got an interview that you did with Nathan O'Connell. But what type of vibe and what type of ethos have you seen around St. Mary training camp as you've been checking in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, you'll see in a minute, Nathan really hit on that as far as, sort of what the team identity is. And I think, when you talk to Coach about it, he's just looking for some guys to hit, get out there, be physical. The other stuff can be coached, right? Like the details, the X's and O's can be coached, but you've got to have that fire inside, that desire to be physical, to do this sport well, as you obviously know. And I feel like it's there. You see a lot of young leaders, kind of bringing up the freshmen and sophomores. Again, there's only a couple of juniors on this club. The rest of them are sophomores and a lot of sophomores and some freshmen. But, the thing about youth is they don't know what they're not capable of, if that makes sense, right? Like they don't know what they're not supposed to be able to do. They know the rules, obviously, but their limitations, they don't know what that is. So for these guys, it's the sky's the limit. And again, Nathan really hits on what he did to try and develop. And I've seen that across the board with this team.
Let me bring in our resident coach here, Eric Huffman. So, Eric, as a coach, when you hear what Tom just said, they're too young to know the difference or to know they're too young to know better that their willful belief that they can win, they can go play and beat anybody. How does that manifest and how does that even begin? Obviously, you got to have youth, but how do you make that youth develop and get to a point where they're ready to just take on Goliath?
You've got to remind them and instill it into them that you don't have to be old to be good. Talent knows no age. I've coached kids that were all staters as sophomores, so it doesn't mean you have to be a junior or a senior, to get recognition or to be good. You don't have to wait your turn. If you're good enough, go show your talent and prove your point that you're good enough to be there and be a part of it, and then go prove your worth out on the field. You don't have to be old to be good.
Well,
that also goes in with the coaching staff too. It starts with the coaching staff, but it also starts at the youth levels also. And again, if the standard is the standard, they're instilling it at the youth levels coming up. So by the time they're at the varsity level, they're ready to run through a brick wall, whether they're a freshman or a senior.
Tom, go ahead. Anything that you want to add?
Yeah, no, great example of that is, a personnel change that they made. They had to shore up the secondary on the varsity squad, and the best person for the job was on the JV squad. He was their number one quarterback. Well, he's moved up to varsity now to take a corner position, and he'll back up O'Connell more or less as the QB2. but he's there because he picked it up quick, because he likes to get his nose in there as a corner. He's good in coverage. He's a quick study, and he's willing to get out there and be physical, and he's not intimidated. He's not the biggest kid, but he's not intimidated. You know, the size thing, you can't coach that. That comes with time. So we'll see if that's a disadvantage for Gaylord this year. But I can tell you the discipline is there and the desire is absolutely there.
Well, certainly one of the things that the Snowbirds bring is that lunch pail mentality, Tom. And what you just said, I think, is the epitome of that program that head coach Kevin O'Connell has built. And I know you're really looking forward to the next 2 years, maybe even longer, for this Snowbird team to see really where that ceiling is.
Well, that's it. I mean, the vast majority of these guys are going to have at least one more year to play together. When you're talking about, Charlie Cameron, for example, junior. But most of these guys are freshmen and sophomores, and they're coming up together. That sophomore class is really the class to keep an eye on. And one of the advantages too is with a smaller team, they've done a lot of practice with the junior varsity. So this is a program that is going to be seamless as these kids come up through the ranks, through the grades. It's going to be a seamless transition. There's not going to be an issue with language or systems or any of that kind of thing. And there's definitely a familiarity and a brotherhood with those players, regardless of the class they're in.
Yeah, you definitely got to look at that and take it into account, because I talked to head coach Kevin O'Connell. He said that they're treating these sophomores like they're seniors right now. And I do think that, Eric, you might be able to touch on this as well. When you have a consistent standard of holding players accountable, whether they're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or a senior, talk to that point that you can get and achieve by holding all players to the same level of accountability.
Well, again, it goes from top to bottom. It's taught at the youth levels. It's taught about call it respecting your elders, but it's respecting your coaches, and the coaches are going to instill in them a level of respect that's supposed to be paid to the coach. And obviously, today's coaches don't treat each player like a soldier in an army. You just can't do that these days. But you can also get the point across without having to yell at someone. I used to tell all my kids, I will never yell at you, but I may raise my voice to get the point across. And that level of understanding can go a long way. They just understand who you are. A lot of it just has to go with understanding the coach and the system and what goes on. And then everything's just icing on the cake. And then everyone on the outside can think what they want to think, because everyone on the inside knows exactly what this one unit is all about.
Yeah, you certainly hit the nail on the head right there. When everybody thinks as one unit on the basketball floor, the analogy that I usually like to say is when you have 10 eyes, 10 hands, one mouth, and one mind, you're usually a pretty good basketball team.
Well, you're also treating them as human beings too. I mean, again, treat them as a human being and give them advantages to be a good teammate on the field too. Help let them find ways to be an assistant out on the field as well too. It gives them a level of responsibility and a level of ownership within the team too, knowing that, okay, coach trusts me to, if my buddy to the left isn't pulling like he's supposed to, I can say something to him and know that it's okay because coach wants me to, because coach can't do it from the sidelines. So that's just part, again, of being that cohesive one unit.
So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to show you something really special. We've got a special interview that Tom did with sophomore quarterback Nathan O'Connell. We're going to show you that right here. And this is the Next Level Show, Next Level Broadcasting Show. We're going to go ahead and bring in sophomore quarterback Nathan O'Connell, who Tom was able to catch up with earlier. I believe that was today. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that.
I want to be tough, have grit, work hard, and I mean, we're obviously a little young, but I don't want to use that as an excuse because I feel like we're able to play right up with the best caliber team. Obviously, we want to make it to the state title, but that doesn't happen without working hard every day as a team and trying to build up to that.
Welcome back into the Next Level Broadcasting Show. I'm Charles Strail, joined tonight by Eric Huffman, Tom Clementson, Jared Stamen. Jared and Tom are doing some serious work out on the ground, pounding the pavement, if you will. Let's go ahead and bring in Jared because Jared is live attending the scrimmage between East Jordan and Charlevoix. So to get an inside look at East Jordan versus Charlevoix and the scrimmage going on tonight, I'd like to welcome in our friend and, well, friend of the program.
Hey guys, welcome to Bos.
Go ahead, Jared.
Oh, hey guys, welcome to Boswell Stadium, where it's another gorgeous night here in East Jordan.
Well, it does look like
we've got the JV playing around. East Jordan coming off momentum, and they're excited. Didn't Russell, he graduated this year, but they've got William Webb, who has been a phenomenal sophomore last year, kind of good gadget player last year, seemingly looking to take a step up. Great halfback, great tackle, explosiveness. Excited to see him play. Also on the other side of the ball, he's starting as their number one corner, looking to make some strides off last year, maybe even try and go 9-3.
So, Jared, I just want to check in with you. I know Eric's got a couple of questions for you as well. One thing I want to know is what does it look like in terms of the level of physicality that you're seeing out there between Charlevoix and East Jordan? Obviously, East Jordan being a little bit smaller school than Charlevoix, but what are you seeing in terms of the physicality on display or just the appearance of size as the players, quote-unquote, walked off the bus? Did it appear that there was a huge discrepancy in terms of the size of either of these two schools and their rosters?
Well, Charles, it actually looked like East Jordan came in with a pep in their step today. Charlevoix being one of their main rivals, they really seemed to want to take this pregame season, pregame a little bit seriously than just a normal preseason game. They're trying to set the tone for the season. And, even though they might be a tad smaller in size, that does not break the heart. And, the fans and the families are out here tonight really supporting.
So let's go ahead and bring back in Eric. I know, Eric, you've got a couple questions for Jared. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of my questions would be, Jared, are you seeing anything out of the ordinary? Has it been kind of a basic scrimmage? Has anybody tried to try anything special as far as opening the playbook? Or has you kind of been just a cut and dry scrimmage just to feel everything out and see where they're at?
I've seen a little bit of both. I think, the preseason is the time to, maybe try out some of those plays, give your quarterback a chance to, use that arm a little bit. But I'd say it seemed pretty overall, sticking to the script, run game first, making sure to win in those trenches and, set the tone to make your quarterback be able to, play great off play action and, have those open reads down the field.
My other question would be, thank you. My other question would be, is there a line that kind of seems to be dominant as you watch? You got both offensive lines and defensive lines. Does one school seem to have leverage over the other as far as the line of scrimmage?
They're both playing with strong intensity. I would say if I had to give it the edge, I think East Jordan just playing with that home pride. You can see it a little bit, but what's really been impressive to me has actually been the running back game. William Webb was not back there. I believe it was their JV squad in. But, you can tell they're running, trying to break every tackle, seeking contact even, They're really trying to set the tone for these corners. There was a 20-yard run, and, when he got right into the end zone, the corner just missed him on the tackle, and you could hear there were some words being exchanged between the two. So, it's not just, it might just be a preseason game on paper, but, these guys, it means a lot to them.
Jared, Charles here. What can you tell us about Charlevoix and what they're seeing right now? Give us a little insight to what we might anticipate from the Charlevoix Raider team. One of the guys that Shane mentioned last week and all preseason long is Ian Moran. He's a guy that they want to get out in space. He's a returning senior. He's about 5'11", 205 pounds. And he's one player that Charlevoix has pegged as true being their bell cow this season. Have you seen Ian Moran get any touches out there? Or you probably saw him getting off the bus or walking around the facility as well. You can't miss him.
So Charles, yeah, I actually have not. I think that some of the big varsity guys, I don't know, they may not made the trip. Actually, I been taking my rounds, looking around everywhere, and it seems to be a lot more of the freshmen and JV guys getting the reps today. Not a lot of size, a lot of guys you can still tell, got years to grow and develop. But I've not personally seen him there because, like you said, he is a guy that you'll know instantly where he is. He's an explosive playmaker as well. Going to give East Jordan and Charlevoix, some good offensive games this year.
Exactly. That's one of the things that I would anticipate seeing from Ian Moran and Charlevoix. They don't play this year. They played last year and the previous year before that, and Charlevoix won both of those games. Well, Jared, I want to say thank you for tuning in here. We'll see you back in studio as soon as you can get back down here.
Just down the hill, buddy.
Yeah, just down the hill, and we'll see you when you get here. So, Jared, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure. Signing off from Boswell Stadium.
All right. Thanks, Jared. Let's go ahead and just kind of wrap up what we heard there, Tom, as we talked to Jared, and he said he saw a lot of the freshmen, a lot of the JV play, so we're anticipating that the varsity is going to go even later, which is okay, but for the purpose of this show, we're doing it live. So for him being able to check in there and just kind of see the grassroots and what's coming up the pipeline for each of these two teams is an interesting
and part of this segment was to talk about future players anyways, right? And that you're seeing, if you're watching a JV scrimmage or anyone, you're seeing it, wow, the future looks bright, or man, he could be on varsity right now.
So we've got about 2 minutes left here with this segment. Let's go back in and bring in our friend Tom Metzen for his final thoughts from Gaylord St. Mary. Tom, we showed everyone here your scene and the work and that piece that you put together with Nathan O'Connell. What can you tell us about, how O'Connell is preparing to lead the Snowbirds this season?
I mean, the biggest thing is, and this is what a coach dreams of, is your leader, your key leader, that quarterback in most cases, is leading by example. I mean, he alluded to it as far as what he was doing in the off season, but I've seen it day in and day out with practice. He's not one of those guys that's going to bark at his teammates, but he's very firm. He'll let his linemen know if an adjustment needs to be made. He's constantly communicating with the center. He's talking to, his guys split out. He's constantly talking to, whoever's in the backfield with him, just to make sure everything is lined up and going the way it's supposed to be going. He's not a rah-rah guy, but he definitely is a leader, and they look to him for that. And I would say the same with Charlie Cameron. He's a little bit more vocal as a junior, but again, he's working with those younger guys that are finding themselves on the varsity squad, on the line, in the linebacker, as they're getting back into that secondary area a little bit. I mean, he's one of those guys who's coaching them up, and he's not barking at them. He's leading by example, and he's coaching on the field.
Tom, we've got about 15 seconds here left. Your biggest takeaway so far from St. Mary training camp?
I mean, they still have a lot of work to do. Obviously, they started out with Pickford, and Pickford's going to be one of those schools they'll see, down the line if everything works out well.
Well, we want to thank Tom for coming in, and Jared as well. And as Tom was saying, I can only imagine what he was about to get into is the fact that they're seeing Pickford tonight, Gaylord St. Mary's, and that is a true measuring stick, a litmus test.
That's a great game.
And Pickford was the state runner-up last year, I believe. So in a game that many would say Pickford should have and could have won in the 8-man championship game for Division I 8-player football. So if you look at that, one team that St. Mary is not afraid to play because they want to find out who they are. And scrimmaging the best is one way to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Charles. That's gonna wrap it up for today's show. If you needed to, check back, scale back, and scroll back and check out this show again, see if there's anything that you missed. We went over the University of Michigan NCAA sanctions and does the punishment fit the crime? And don't forget to go back and check your top 5 of the Yahoo top 5 dark horse teams. Maybe there's a team that you think is a dark horse. You can let us know about that. And again, thanks to Tom and Jared for reaching out from their respective schools for their check-ins on their preseason scrimmages. But that's going to do it for us tonight. For myself, Eric Huffman, for Charles Strail running the production tonight, and for Tom Clementson and Gaylord St. Mary's and Jared Stamen checking in from East Jordan tonight. That'll be it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check in at nextlevelbroadcasting.net. Also, Next Level Broadcasting on the YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out the hype videos for your chance to do advertising for one of our 5 schools that we cover. Thanks again. You've been watching the Next Level Broadcasting Show.
And we're going to close with those hype videos for each one of those 5 schools right now.
I think we nailed the Zoom stuff.
I think so too.
McKinley's going to fire this one deep down the sideline. He's got Jacobson wide open at the 22. Jacobson cuts it back, gets a block. He's in. Out to the flats. It's intercepted. What a play by Quentin Tobias. Tobias down the sideline. Say goodbye. Tobias cribs it for an interception, a pick 6. He's got one. Nice reception by Carlisle. Can he outstep him? He's got Max Ward again. He's tiptoeing. Are they going to give him the sideline? He's down to the 5 and touchdown. He's rolling to his right. He throws an interception. That's going to be Joel Darren on the pick. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. We thank you for by Harrison Shepard, handed on to Cam Sellers. Cam Sellers gets it. Cam Sellers is going to turn and burn down the sideline. Sellers is taking it for 6. And he taking the distance, and he does. Watching high school football on Next Level Broadcasting. We'll be back. all the way. Flutie, let's have one fly. Intercepted, ladies and gentlemen, batted by two different Raiders. Ian Moran filling his old running back duties. For all of us at Next Level Broadcasting, thank you all so much for tuning in and showing your support all season long to the Raiders. We hope to see you right back again for more Raider action. Off, breakaway run there. That's Max Beal going the yardage. He's got a breakaway and taken down inside for East Jordan touchdown. Russell with one last opportunity faces some pressure. The catch is made. Schutz, he's got the ball. Up the middle, fakes handoff up the middle, pitches out to Webb. Webb's got a lane. Webb's got green grass. Makes a couple men miss. Touchdown,